Hi, everybody. This is Jeff Kester, your 2020 president for Missouri Realtors. And while I wanted 2020 to be an unforgettable year, I really wasn't planning on it being quite this unforgettable. But, despite the circumstances in which we all find ourselves, I'm amazed and proud at how well our 2020 vision and our core beliefs of advocate, lead, and engage are still going on throughout our association. What NAR and Missouri Realtors have been able to accomplish with regards to lobbying for self-employed and other provisions in the stimulus packages coming out of Washington, and what Missouri Realtors have been able to do helping local associations remain essential services in stay-at-home orders and the information affiliated with them. It's just been astounding. We continue to lead through providing new forms and new information for realtors to do their work and continue to provide those essential services to consumers across Missouri. And finally, in engaging, we continue to engage with each other, our associations, our communities, and our clients and customers in helping to assure them that we will come out of this and we will be okay, being that hand that can reach out and assure some sense of normality through all this. All of this is being facilitated through outstanding partnerships, incredible partnerships between volunteers and volunteer leaders and association leaders across the state of Missouri. And at this time, I'd like to introduce my partner, the CEO of Missouri Realtors, John Sebree. Speak of engagement, John, the web resources that Missouri Realtors now has for all of our members as far as COVID-19 is incredible. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. And it's great to be with you here today. Of course, we're all in constant contact with our members, but one thing that we really want members to understand is the valuable resource on our website. When they go to the main page, there's a big red banner across the top that says Coronavirus, a guide for realtors. And under that are just incredible resources that we continue to add to. The very first bullet, though, is one that's been getting a lot of attention around the country, and that is real estate as an essential service. Many of our local boards, as you know, have been working with their city and county governments to make sure that real estate closings can continue to happen. And in that section, you can actually read our letter from Jeff Kester, you, to the governor on that issue and the importance real estate plays in the economy. Just for everyone, as a side note, I would say that there are over 9,000 pending closings in the state of Missouri right this minute. And we want to do everything we can while, of course, making sure that everyone's health and safety are paramount. We want to make sure that those closings continue to happen because the numbers of families that are impacted by 9,000 closings is significant. And remember the important number that every 2 closings in our state creates 1 job. We need those jobs to continue to be created in this difficult time. But that's just an example of one resource that's there. You may have seen, we've been working with the Missouri Real Estate Commission, and they have voted actually just yesterday morning to permit accredited schools to move approved in-seat live classroom courses to distance delivery type methods. That was something we had been asking for. We continue to talk to them about deadlines that are upcoming. So we'll keep you posted on that, but you can continue to check back to this resource. Finally, I know you're going to cover some of these other things that are at the page, but the things that I'm hearing a lot about, one, online remote notarization. There's a big move nationally to get that done. We have resources on this page that talk about the economic stimulus legislation that Congress is considering. The important thing to know is the bill that the U.S. House is dealing with right this minute is the third installment of that stimulus legislation. Our national colleagues expect remote online notarization to be in the fourth or fifth iteration. Probably in the next week or two, Congress will be working on that. But know that our lobbyists are working with the Secretary of State's office and the Missouri legislature to see what we can do on that here. The other thing I've heard a lot about in the last 24 hours are small business loans that our members would be eligible for. This and so many other resources are in that coronavirus toolkit on our website. So I encourage you to check that out. Back to you, Jeff.
Well, thanks. And it is an amazing amount of resources on there, even links to information from local associations, and many, many, many thanks to our great Missouri Realtors staff for making that page happen. I also want to sing the praises of another group, and that is our Risk Management Mission Committee, and especially our Residential Forms Committee, for being able to very quickly make forms available for us to use during this situation. And joining us also is our chief legal eagle, Steve Graham. Steve, just real briefly, can you give us an overview of the forms that have been released by Missouri Realtors for our form set on this?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeff. The Forms Committee has actually met 4 different times over the last 2 weeks. We started last Friday with 2 initial forms. Obviously, for those 9,000 people under contract already, the world kind of stopped and we're in unprecedented times. So the first form that we prepared was designed to be both a rider to an existing sale contract, or to a new offer, or an amendment to an existing sale contract, where you had a variety of options to select from, including an extension of just the closing date, if that's all you have left, or if you have a number of inspection contingencies, financing, appraisal, whatever contingencies, effectively stops the clock, maintains the status quo, and then allows for an extension of a given set of time. Also provide a set of blanks, recognizing that terms can be negotiated differently in every place, and not every place is impacted at the same time equally by this by COVID-19. The second form we did released last week was designed to be an amendment to a listing contract, and essentially to ask of the property owner, what is your decision whether to proceed or not to proceed with any sort of open house, any sort of live in-person showing, any sort of access to that may be necessary for appraisal or for whatever purposes, because clients are always right. It should start with the clients. Well, it's really going to start with where you're located. But assuming you're in an area of the state where there's not a mandated stay-at-home order in place, then it's going to be appropriate to have that client be aware of the risk. I think everyone is aware of it, but kind of proceed with their eyes wide open and just make sure that the client is the one calling the shot on whether they're going to open their house or not. This week, we've come up with 2 new forms that will be released later today, actually. One is simply a flyer that's designed to be used to post on the exterior door of a listed house. You know, attention, please answer these 4 basic health screening questionnaires. Do you have a fever? Do you have shortness of breath? The symptoms of COVID. Have you had exposure to it? A person who has been confirmed with a case of COVID-19. If so, please, you know, come back at a future time when you can answer no to all these questions. And I think each individual broker too will maybe establish some of their own separate protocols. We didn't want to get too deep in the woods, but allowed for whether it's posted via MLS, that you might have different showing instructions, just necessary protocol for your situation. The hold harmless agreements was the last item, and that is designed to allow where you have an existing contract with a seller or a buyer, but you can use it in any situation. Anytime that you are getting in the car or you're arranging for a home to be inspected by other than the occupant, or any sort of a personal contact situation like that, again, you're only going to proceed because that client or that prospect wants to. But we think it's fair to say, we're doing this because you want to, but we also want to inform you of the risk of COVID, and we can't screen and we can't do anything that would be a perfect way to prevent potential contamination. So you're doing it with your eyes wide open. All we are asking is, don't sue us. Don't sue us because we're accommodating your continuation of business. We're going to, and that's the hold harmless agreement.
I like that. Thank you, Steve. And again, you know, that's a very volunteer intensive process. And for all of you who took the hours out of your schedule to work on those forums, thank you again. So, John, I think there are a lot of affiliates that are reaching out to Missouri Realtors as a place for answers and information. Do you have anything about that?
Actually, one thing we want to be is a resource, a one-stop shop, basically, for anything that anyone in our industry might need related to the current situation. So we've added resources to our coronavirus resource page that is specific to home inspectors, for example. I'm getting lots of questions regarding what's happening in that area. So we've linked to the American Society of Home Inspectors recommendations for the inspection process. We were hearing from even our own members who own property and are property managers themselves, but also those who are just specifically in the property management sector. And so we've added COVID-19 resources and information for property managers. So those are just two examples, but we also link to the American Land Title Association site because they have so many incredible resources when it comes to the closing. So rather than reinvent the wheel, why not link to the great source of that information? So those are just some examples, and yet another reason to check out our coronavirus resource page.
As we close, I just want to say again how proud I am to be a realtor, of the realtor spirit, the fact that we are all still working to achieve our 2020 vision of advocating, leading, and engaging. And how great it is that we have the resources we do to do all that, like the landing, where we can all still get together, and more to come on the April Business Conference in that regard too. So everybody, keep doing what you're doing, keep doing the great things that you're able to accomplish right now. Let's all stay in touch. We are Missouri Realtors. We will achieve our goals regardless of this situation because that's who we are.